first time also addressing the security implications of the rise of China. So the reality is that this alliance have proven once again to be able to adapt to change, responding to a changing world. So that's the reason why we are a success, the ability to change when the world is changing.
It's a tough statement, though, when you make a statement like that. That is a very, very nasty statement to essentially 28, including them, 28 countries. I think that, you have a very high unemployment rate in France. France is not doing well economically at all. They're starting to tax other people's products, so therefore we go and tax them. That's just taking place right now in technology, and we're doing their wines and everything else. And it's a very tough statement to make when you have such difficulty in France. You look at what's happened with the yellow vests, or you look at what's going on during certain parts of their season. They've had a very rough year. And you just can't go around making statements like that about NATO. It's very disrespectful.
Mr. President, the Department of Justice Inspector General's report is due out soon, and it's been reported that the Attorney General disagrees with that conclusion. Do you agree with Attorney General Barr?
Well, I just don't know. I just don't know. I haven't seen it. I purposely stay out of it. We have a great Attorney General. He's a very fair man. He's a great gentleman. He didn't need this job. He took this job because he wanted to do something great for the country. As you know, he was a very successful man. Picked a great company to work when he left. As you know, he picked a great company to work for. But he's a very successful man, didn't need the job. He's doing a great job. I have not seen the report. Perhaps he's read the report. I think he was quoted incorrectly. I do believe that, because I'm hearing the report is very powerful, but I'm hearing that by reading lots of different things, not from inside information, it's really from outside information. I think all we have to do is wait. Isn't it going to be released on Monday or so? I think we have to read it, and we have to see it. But I hear there's a lot of devastating things in that report. But we'll see what happens. Look, we have a few days to wait. We've been all waiting a long time. I do think the big report to wait for is going to be the Durham report. That's the one that people are really waiting for. And he's highly respected. And he's worked very hard. And he's worked long hours, I can tell you, and gone all over the world. So we'll see. But the Durham report is a report people are really looking forward to. But this is a very important report. The IG report is a very important report. If what I read is correct, I read it in your newspaper. If what I read is correct, that would be a little disappointing. But it was just one aspect of the report. We'll see what happens. We'll see it. It's coming out in a few days. I hear it's devastating, but we'll soon find out.
Mr. President,
yes?
how do you plan to bring NATO together this summer?
Well, I think the Secretary General has done a good job in bringing NATO together. It's been unfair because the United States is paying 4%, and some people could say 4.3% of the largest GDP there is in the world by far, because we brought it to a level that nobody thought even possible. So we're paying 4 to 4.3%, when Germany's paying 1 to 1.2%, at max 1.2% of a much smaller GDP. That's not fair. And it's not fair also when you have the European Union. Many of these are the same countries, but you have the European Union treating the United States very, very unfairly on trade. The deficit for many, many years, for decades, but the deficit for many, many years has been astronomical with the United States and Europe in their favor. And I'm changing that, and I'm changing it fairly rapidly, but it's not right to be taken advantage of on NATO, and also then to be taken advantage of on trade, and that's what happens, and we can't let that happen. So we're talking to the European Union, and we're talking to various countries about NATO, but we're talking to the European Union about trade, and they have to shape up, otherwise things are going to get very tough.
But let me just add that NATO is the only place where North America and Europe meet every day, where we discuss, decide, and take actions together, responding to a wide range of different security threats and challenges. And we do that more now than we've done for many, many years. And the reality is that, not least because it has been so clearly conveyed from President Trump, that we need fair burden sharing allies are stepping up. And we are also modernizing this alliance, responding to new challenges in cyber, in space. We will declare space as a new operational domain for NATO, something we never had before. So it just highlights that, well, there are differences because we are 29 different countries from both sides of the Atlantic with different political parties in power, with different history, different geography. But despite these differences, we have always been able to unite around our core task to protect and defend each other because we are stronger and safer together. And I'm absolutely certain that will also be the case now.
Look, I would say that nobody needs NATO more than France. You just look back over the last long period of time. Nobody needs NATO more than France. And frankly, the one that benefits really the least is the United States. We benefit the least. We're helping Europe. Europe unites and they go against a common foe. That may or may not be a foe. Can't tell you that. But there are other foes out there also. But I think nobody needs it more than France. And that's why I think that when France makes a statement like they made about NATO, it's a very dangerous statement for them to make.
You mentioned the digital tax, sir. What would it take for you not to impose those tariffs on the French products?
Well, look, I'm not in love with those companies, Facebook and Google and all of them, Twitter, although I guess I do pretty well with Twitter on the other side, but I'm not necessarily in love with those companies. But there are companies, they're American companies. I want to tax those companies. They're not going to be taxed by France, so France is going to put a tax on. It was totally out of the blue. He just had the idea. Emmanuel had an idea, let's tax those companies. Well, they're American companies. I'm not going to let people take advantage of American companies, because if anyone's going to take advantage of the American companies, it's going to be us. It's not going to be France. And so we're taxing, as you know, we're taxing their wines and everything else, and we have a very, very big tax to put on them. Plus, we have a tax going on Airbus, and that'll be a good thing for Boeing, but we're only going to do that if it's necessary. As you know, we won in the World Trade Organization, we won $7.5 billion. We never used to win before me, because before me, the United States was a sucker for all of these different organizations. And now they realize, the World Trade Organization realizes that my attitude on them, if they don't treat us fairly, well, I'll tell you someday what will happen. And we've been winning organization. We virtually, very rarely did we ever win a case. They took advantage of the United States. So that's where it is. We won $7.5 billion. And if France puts a tax on our companies, again, these are companies that are against, they were against me. If I read the papers correctly, I don't know why they were against me, but they were against me. They're supposed to be very powerful, and yet I won. So maybe they're not so powerful. But they're American companies. I don't want France taxing American companies. If they're going to be taxed, it's going to be the United States will tax them. Okay?
And why are you staying out of the British